What's going on, good people? Adrian Homeboy Holmes here to welcome you to the new season of Super Gamer Book Club. New season? Where's the old season, I hear you say? Well, you can find all the episodes of the old season from our original book club host Zetch on our Patreon. And you can also find the newest episodes of season 2 with host me, ding, on Patreon as well. Me, Garrett, and a special guest every month choose a game and we go over it and talk about it in a shorter, more informal kind of setting. It's almost like we're just hanging out and telling what we liked about the game, what we didn't like about the game, so on and so forth. So we decided this is too cool to sit behind Patreon for all of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the older episodes and put them out on this free podcast feed for you guys. And if you want to check out the new episodes of stuff that we're doing, you can go and subscribe to our Patreon for only $1, and you get the brand new book club episodes when they come out. That's all I got for right now. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I hope you come to see what we have on Patreon. Take it easy and enjoy the show. What is going on, good people? Here we are again. Another episode of Super Gamer Book Club. And tonight, we're going to cover... I can't hold it back anymore. We're going to do a double feature. Little Nightmares 1 and 2. That's right. Double the content for you. And of course, JJ Purdom, our guest but not guest, is here.
This is his first time on Adrian's book club.
And I thought by definition I wasn't allowed to be on here because it's the book club, and you guys all just assume that I can't read because of my low IQ. But I assume that that's also because I'm so devastatingly good looking that you also just imagine that I'm not very bright. But guess what? This isn't really about books. That's why it's so weird that it says book club. That's why I was trying to avoid this thing for the longest time. But now I'm here. I was going to say queer, but that's not true and accurate, and that was probably really insensitive. I didn't mean to say that. I'm here, and I'm going to rock out with my... No, that doesn't sound right either.
Come on now. Get it together.
There is a lady here, and I'm not even talking about you this time. I'm not even talking about Garrett this time. Man, I'm on fire. The coffee is hot, and it's coming to you live. Well, it'll be recorded. If
no, JJ, I had to have you on here because for the last, couple months now, Garrett... JJ's been ranting and raving about how good Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are. Yeah. So I was like, well, we already have our special guest. And I know that JJ is just chomping at the bit to talk to somebody about these games. So I said, well, let's go ahead and have him on too. And of course, Big Boss Morlang is here. Good, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me. Yes. Anytime.
And last, but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for this week, Miss Ray the Rat herself from twitch.tv/Ray the Rat. Ray, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I hear tell on these old interwebs that you are quite the expert on all things Little Nightmares. So
I don't want to brag, but I got a couple tricks on my sleeve about this game. I love this game, and I've been following them for like a while, but I'm just obsessed with how they do things, and I love the story. The story just keeps me on my toes. It's so open-ended, and like there's so many theories that you can come up with. It's just never
hours.
Like,
you can watch hours and hours of theory videos online.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's so
no,
good.
But Ray, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here, and man, it's so cool the number of different guests that we've had on that have said that I never thought were gonna say but look at us now. So everybody, thank you again. So we're covering Little Nightmares, and let's go ahead and get our overall thoughts. Do we want to do 1 and 2 together? Do we want to do 1 and then 2? Do we want to go back and forth? How do we want to tackle this?
I would say it'd probably work best if we were to run through 1 and then run through 2.
Okay, we can do that.
just like how I did. And then Garrett, I don't think he actually finished either of the games, but I know he watched Ray play them a lot. So, I mean, does that technically count? I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I did finish this game. I finally finished two games, actually.
Yeah,
actually, as of tonight, I don't know if you saw on the Discord, but as of 8:30 tonight, no, actually, probably 7:30 tonight, I beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Whoa!
So,
Dude, I'm so proud of you, buddy. Dreams do come true.
Only took me like 3 years. I don't know.
With a little bit of elbow grease and a bit of luck.
Got it.
You can do anything, Garrett. You can do anything. Okay, well, if that's the case, then we'll start with the first Little Nightmares, which is developed by Tarsier Studios. It came out on Windows, PS4, and Xbox One back in ye old 2017.
Yay.
And was a moderate hit, I would say, that picked up steam. I think that's fair to say.
Don't forget it's also out on Stadia here, it says, as well.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I was just talking about the initial release. It came to Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, it came to Switch a year later. And then
the all-important Stadia release, I just had to say.
Of course, all three people that got it there. No, Tarsier is, they are in Sweden. They are Swedish-based, and they were founded back in 2004. And of course, I have to mention that they are an independent studio who just happen to have their publishing by Bandai Namco. For anybody who is wondering what Little Nightmares is about, basically it's right on the verge of being a horror game, but it's so twisted and I don't know how to explain it. Like it's
very
so
unsettling and very eerie.
Yeah. And the designs in it are so outlandish. So you play as a young child by the name of Six, and you are basically trying to escape a large facility, and you have to get through different levels of the facility. You are also maybe about a sixth of the size of any other being on that boat. So tables are gigantic. Doors are too heavy to push sometimes. Different things can kill you that wouldn't kill, a regular sized person. And everything pretty much on the ship is out to get you. That is the tip of the iceberg. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, I would definitely say to check it out. But if you're here, I'm assuming that you already played it, baby. So
we're spoiling
spoilers
the heck out
are
of these games.
Let's do it. So let's go around the table. Ray, I'm gonna start with you since you are our guest.
Okay.
What is your history with Little Nightmares? What do you think of overall for the first one?
Okay, so for the first game, when it came out, I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, oh, it's a cheap game that I'll try out. Like, I think it'll be a nice break from the other games that I would play. And little did I know that I would end up loving it. It's super eerie, and it just keeps you guessing. You don't know what's coming, and everything just surprises you. Like, you know that something's coming, and you know what they look like. But like it just gets me sweating. It's just it's so nerve-wracking because you don't know what they're gonna do. Like you'll see what they look like, but then you're like, okay, like what are you capable of? Like what are you gonna do? The first game definitely was fun. The mechanics were a little jiffy, but overall,
we were saying that too.
Like when you're picking stuff up, when you're throwing it, or like when you're doing the little lever thing, like they were a little janky, but like I was like, I don't care. Like this game is amazing.
They're on to something.
Yeah, I was like, the fall damage is a little I'm a little sad about the fall damage because I fall a lot.
Dude, having to balance on stuff was so hard. When you had to do the sections where you were like on a tightrope and I would just slip off like 8 times in a row. I'm like,
it's like,
I'm gonna just watch this on YouTube. I'm done.
Just give me a chance. But
then
no,
you get it the next try.
Yeah. I really love it. And like I said, the ending is very open. It's very open ended. It keeps you guessing. It's always like you play it again and you find different things that you don't know. Obviously, you notice at the like when you first start playing it. So like you start to put things together and you start having like a theory and you're like, okay, so this is what happened. I'm piecing this together. And then at the end, you're like, okay, well, it doesn't make sense. Like this could happen, that could happen. And then I'm not gonna lie, I played it 3 times. And there's so many things that I've noticed that I did not notice when I first played it. And it's like, all right, well, all of my theories are debunked. There's stuff that's happened before, there's stuff that's going to happen after. And I'm like, I want to know more. Like it keeps me wanting for more because there's so many things that you notice that you're like, how did this happen? Or like is this going to be continuous? Like is this over? Or like yeah, it's very open ended, and that's what I love about it. And it's just never boring. You just find something new every time that you play it, and I don't get tired of it.
Okay.
I wish people would
Did
play
you
it
dig
more.
the overall vibe, the art style, and all that?
The art style is immaculate. I love it. It's very 3D, but still like kind of cartoon-ish, and I love it. The way that they created all of these characters just makes you so uncomfortable, just on the verge of like, I don't
You're
know.
nailing it.
It's like, are
the
you like, I don't know if I should be uncomfortable. I don't know if this is normal. It's like,
Definitely
yeah,
not
it's just
normal.
very, no, it's not. But then you're like, but it could also happen. But then you're like, I don't know. That's also very weird. But I don't know. I think they really nailed it with making you feel uneasy, which I
Right
love.
on.
Yeah.
Right on. Garrett, you are the newest here to finish the first game. What are your impressions, good sir?
So I had always heard about this game, had it recommended to me, and yeah, people just talk about how amazing it was, how creepy it was, all this stuff. I had no idea what it was about though. I had no idea what the game was like. To be honest, I thought it was geared even more towards a younger audience. And I think I told the story in the main podcast where I actually recommended it. I had like a parent ask me like, "Oh, do you know any good games for my kid?"
And you said Little Nightmares, and then you
recommended
played it
Little
and saw the
Nightmares.
hanging corpse and was like, "Oops."
Yeah, it literally in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh no, what have I done? I can't remember for the life of me who I told to play that, and I'm glad because if I did, I'd never be able to talk to him again. So, so I'm glad they never got mad. Like they haven't said anything to me. I don't remember who it is, so I can't say anything to them. It's like great, ignorance is bliss. But anyways, this game. Yeah, like I said, completely just not what I expected at all in such a good way. Because I thought it was going to be good because everyone said it was going to be good. But I was like, oh, it's just a kid's game. It's pretend scary, It's not actually scary. It's just going to be a little creepy here and there. And then there was times where, yeah, like Ray was saying, it's like, oh my gosh, like so unsettling. So unsettling. Every little bit of it is meant to be like this, yeah, from the music to the art design to the way things even control is just to make you so tense and want to just crawl out of your skin. And sometimes in the game, that's literally what happens with some of the characters. They're literally, it just seems like it's like, oh, that character is literally about ready to just fall out of their skin.
Or
I
they're
really
wearing
enjoyed it.
skin, or what looks like skin.
Or they're wearing skin. So I really enjoyed it. Not what I expected, and I was very, very pleasantly just pleased with the whole experience. It's been fantastic. And then yeah, like we were talking about with the lore, holy cow, that well's deep. Like it, the theories go on forever. Like what's the metaphor here? What is actually physically happening in this world? Like what are these, what is this place? The maw.
The children.
What are the children doing in its cages? What are these big fat dudes doing? Yeah, the customers. Like what's going on there? Man, it's crazy. I loved it.
All right, JJ. I let you sit long enough.
I know.
Could
Could you see me?
Yeah,
Could you see
you
me
were
moving a
fidgeting
little
over
bit?
there.
I was starting to dance a little bit in my seat because I'm getting excited. So I'm new to video games. I've only been doing this for a few years. Garrett's the one who infected me, and apparently there's no vaccination that I can get for it.
No.
So ever since I started becoming a video game guy, I've always been a AAA guy. I look for the big titles. I look for the beautiful titles, for the ones that have been talked about for 2 years and they finally come out, and I'm either super happy about it or really let down. This was one of those moments where I saw Little Nightmares 2, the preview to it, the trailer on YouTube, and I thought, man, that looks like a lot of fun. And then I saw that, there's actually a Little Nightmares 1, and by the way, it's on PlayStation Network, and I can get it for like $5. And I'm like, man, that looks fantastic. $5 is super.
The gateway drug.
Yeah. So I got it. And I honestly didn't expect a lot. I just thought, like, okay, it looks really cool. It looks kind of like a puzzling type of game. No, this is one of those things where you didn't expect the girl at the prom who kind of has a little bit of a hair lip, and she's maybe got one eye that trails off to one side, but for some reason you can't take your eyes off of her. And it's like, oh man, I'm hearing songs, man. I'm hearing like I could hear the sounds from the mountains singing right now. Like, wow, I'm in love. I'm super in love. And that's what happened with me in Little Nightmares. It's a cliche, but everybody says like, oh man, this game is like a freaking roller coaster. This game really is a roller coaster. It's up and down, incredible characters, room to room, all this adventure tied up. And there's moments where it's honestly a thrill ride, because I'm like, oh my God, okay, come on, man, I just barely made it, and like, and that feeling, like, dude, I would feel that in my toes. I like literally would feel it all over my body. And that's not a feeling or a thought that I've had with any other games. I just haven't had that, where I've played any games and walked away with it, went to bed and laid there and thought, damn it, I really just should have played a little bit more. I have had those nights where you're playing a video game and it's great, and you're like, how did it get to be 3 a.m.? I definitely had that with Little Nightmares 1 and with 2. So, and then I got back on the show the following week, and you guys were like, so JD, what you playing? Because you imagine that I'm going to say what I always say, nothing, I haven't had time. And I said, I will play Little Nightmares. And you guys, I know Adrian's reaction was literally the best. You were like, oh my gosh, so happy, like you had just had given birth. It was awesome. And then you said, yeah, because I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, I don't remember that. See, what happens is when you talk or he talks, all I'm thinking about is I'm in my head waiting for the next joke to slam Garrett. So I did not hear you talk about it because I was thinking of the next joke. So no, but honestly, I'm so glad that I jumped on this thrill ride, because it was so awesome. And I've only played them both once through. So I'm excited to be able to go back, because there's a huge replayability for these games. The characters are amazing, the art style, and man, don't sleep on the music. That score for both of them is really wonderful, and I would like to get like the CD of that music, but I'm cheap, so I probably I'm just
how creepy that would be, just like jamming out to that in your van, though, like with your kids in the back seat, just like
your family comes home, you're just laying in the bed with it playing the sick song with the little music box, just like this.
Oh, see, that's the greatest. That's the greatest. And you know what's great is my daughter and her fiance. They both came in and saw me playing it, and they were like, it caught their eye. And they were like, whoa, what's that? And so they stepped in, and there were a handful of nights, maybe 3-4 nights, where they came in and were like, I'm like, hey, son, you play this. My son-in-law is great at games. So I'm like, you get past this one. I can't figure it out. And, of course, he'd play it for 3 seconds and get it done. I'm like, I wanted to make sure that I just wanted you to feel good about yourself. Okay.
Right.
But
you can leave.
yeah. I'm like, you're done. You passed the level. You're done.
No, man. It definitely does my heart good to hear everybody have such high praise for this game. Again, it's just, I don't know. Independent games, man. It's something about them. It's some magic to them. You would be hard pressed to find a large company to give such a wildly different, like, you couldn't pitch this to an EA or to a Sony or something like that and have them just be like, yep, we're gonna back you, you got to do it on your own. And that's the blessing that is indie games, is because you can do whatever you want, you can push boundaries, you can make whatever vision that you want unaltered. And
that
that's
they
what we
did.
got here. Yeah. I'm right in line with you guys. I think this first game is incredible. I think the storyline, the way the world is built, the art style is probably the biggest pull for me. I love the way that everything is designed, and it's so grotesque and dirty and terrifying and claustrophobic at times. You really don't know how you're going to get out of some situations, and you're just like this tiny little 2
For
foot.
just a second, I thought you were talking about marriage. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no,
you're still
no.
talking about. You're still talking about the game. The game. We're talking.
The game,
We're talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
little.
yeah.
little- Okay. No. Please continue. Please continue.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
Little
yeah.
Nightmares.
Please, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I hope that marriage is not like that for you or for most people, but who knows? No, but yeah, the way that they've crafted the world definitely sets that up for me. I'm a big world building guy. When we did our BioShock episode, I was saying that was the biggest contributor for me, and I am a massive fan of yeah, I saw that. I didn't want to say anything. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a
Heck
massive
yeah.
BioShock fan. I think it's probably one of the best realized environments in a video game there's ever been. And
For those of people who are doing audio, let's just go ahead and clear up. Right now, Ray the Rat actually just showed that she has a tattoo, a
right.
BioShock tattoo on her throat. It's one of those cool she had had. It's like it's one of those like gangster tats, like right on the side of the throat. So just so you know,
it
audio
says, "Would you
listeners,
kindly," real big.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
would you
it's
kindly.
a BioShock thing. I mean, it's a risk, but it really looks cool. It's kind of a neat. I like
She
what you
pulls it
did
off.
there.
She pulls it off.
That's just for the audio, because there are people sometimes that listen to us just on audio, things like iTunes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fair
you guys don't know how
point. Thank you
hard
for
I
catching
go.
that. But no, I think that this game's world is definitely well realized, well executed, and there's something to look at in every scene, in every corner of every scene, the way that they set things up. And it's even more terrifying when there's nothing to look at, because your brain automatically starts thinking, well, what's behind there? What's back there? What's going to reach out and grab me?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
long-armed
immediately.
janitor. I was so
fuck.
tired of him reaching around like 3 different walls and grabbing me, and
I cannot. No, I can't. No. Like I was terrified.
Did you guys
of
have
being-
a favorite area or a favorite moment in the game?
Oh, so much.
all of it?
Well, I mean, I know we like it all, but like when you think Little Nightmares, what moment in the game do you like first? What first hits you?
I love the stuff with the butcher, with the chef. The chef stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
And I also resonated with him being a heavy guy, so I like felt for him, and there were parts of me that wanted him to win. I'm like, get it, buddy, just go. But no, scary as heck, and like getting thrown into the pot and stuff like that. Like, they're really interesting ways for you to get caught, and like you're like, oh,
Oh, you got thrown into I got stuffed into a fish.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
I got that in junior high school, but it had nothing to do with this video game.
Oh. See, I'm trying to figure out which way
being a
you're
nerd.
going with that, because that's
It's to be you just up to your determination.
That's fine.
What do you come up with that?
Oh no. Oh, no.
no, I'm right. Did you notice that those chefs were like wearing masks? Like that wasn't their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still trying to theorize in my
Process.
brain
Okay.
what was under there.
I actually was thinking gastric bypass surgery, and they, when the skin is like hanging off of the face and stuff like. I thought it was like they'd recently had surgery to try to like reduce some of the weight around the body.
If
Did
they
they
if they
look
did
like
that was
they'd
round
recently
one,
had
they
that?
need another one.
They lifted it.
Ugh. My man was having some trouble, man. He was breathing heavy. Oof.
Yeah, he was.
I'm surprised there wasn't like a sleep apnea machine next to the bed when you go in there
Right?
and stuff like that.
Oh my god, okay.
That would have been
That would have
classic.
been so funny. That would have been hilarious.
Garrett, you got one?
I was also going to say the chefs. I really enjoyed that whole section, but I think with the janitor, you mentioned him before, the long arms, that whole kind of end section there, kind of like, I guess, the boss fight, like him chasing you and stuff like that, and running down the hallways and down the pipes, and then leading up to like the room in the end, where you have to try. And this part took me a long time because I'm an idiot. Everyone knows I'm bad at games. But to when you finally figure out how to beat him and like chop his arm off. Like I don't know why it took me so long. It was super hard to figure out that, I got to go grab the thing and yank it out from under the door. But that was so terrifying. Like these arms flailing around because he can't see you. He's just reaching around trying to grab you with his ginormous arms. And you're just like, you figure out the pattern to like keep going back and forth to the boxes. And finally I'm like, okay, quick, pull the thing out. Boom, chops his arms off. And
so like, good. Such a nice, like.
That took me so long to. It's like, please. Gosh.
Now, Ray, you've gone back and forth, or I should say back to front 3 times. I know you got a favorite moment. What you got?
I have 2. Am I allowed to say 2? Okay.
Yeah, you can say as many as you want.
Okay. Well, I really love all of them, but the ones that really got me hooked would be the chase with the customers. That big chase really like I couldn't, like, I have to, like, all of my energy was put into that one part of the game, and it's just like, I don't know, it was really wild. And like at first you're like, oh, these little guys are too slow, they're not gonna chase me, and then at the end they're just like, oh, you think that's easy? Well, let's just have
a literal tidal wave of people.
Yeah. It's like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna die. But I really love that. And since I did play it 3 times, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the designs on the, I forget what it's called, tatami, like the doors, the sliding doors. There's a design on there that shows the maw, which I thought was really, really cool. Whoa. So like it gives you like a little art design of what the maw actually looks like. And then my second favorite would be the last boss fight. The music, the intensity, just like it's so unpredictable, and like you don't know what she does, like you don't know what she's gonna do, and I just love it. And then after you defeat her at the end when she's walking up the stairs, that's the moment that always pops into my head whenever someone says Little Nightmares.
When you're taking the essence out of those people.
Yes, that's the most incredible
the
moment.
Power walk, yes, that one. And then just going up the stairs and all of the gnomes just watching you ascend. It was such a nice ending, because you're like, what the fuck's gonna happen? Is there gonna be more? And then at the end, it just shows the top of the maw, and you're just like, wait. I was like, wait, what is this? Where are we? What is this place? Yeah. And then that's where it kind of like started. I'm just like, I need to know more. I need to know where she is. I need to know why this place is so tiny. Like, why is this just a little island?
And then they said, wait 4 years, Ray, and we'll tell you.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, that's fine. You better come out with a game, because I need to know. I need answers. But no, it's so good. Like can't. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that there's just no way for you to leave the game. It's just you're so immersed in it, and they just don't. There's never a dull moment, like you said, that when everything is like, when you think that there's nothing happening, you're just like, is something gonna come out of there? Is something gonna jump out? Like, what do I have to do? Kind of thing, and you're just always guessing, which I think is like a really big part, because that keeps you into the game.
Right.
And I think that's really good.
So the game could probably best be described as a type of a platformer. So you're going from room to room, and you have to figure out certain things in the environment to be able to get you to go to the next room. You know, you get into a room and it's all closed up, and you see maybe there's like a chandelier hanging down. Okay, what can I use that's in this room to climb up to hang off of this chandelier to possibly swing over to an open window? So it's like every room has these different things in it to be able to get you to the next room, or to get you to be able to open up something in that room to go further in the game. So it's one of those unique like platformers that there's so many levels in this game, and a lot of them are so unique. There's just so much to it. It's not like you can play it for 5 minutes and go, I got the whole thing figured out. There are so many levels in this game that I hate to admit that I got stuck on for really long periods of time, where I would do it for 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I didn't get anywhere. I didn't get out of this room. I don't know. Did you guys have any of that?
Yeah, I
Where
had a
you were
lot of
bored?
head scratcher moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so if
Oh,
now,
God.
Ray, probably you the best since you just did this thing 3 times. Like we're talking about one right now. Is there any levels that you remember going, man, I really had a hard time with that, and even when I came back to it in the second and third iteration, I still kind of had a hard time figuring out how to get through this.
I think it would be the one where you have to climb the table and then there's customers eating and you have to like kind of weave your way through. That one
So hard.
took
Yeah,
me
very hard.
freaking forever.
Yeah.
That and like enclosed rooms where you have to like climb the little gate from the elevator. You have to like climb it and like there's no indication of saying, oh, you have to climb this. Like, you have to figure it out. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. I can figure it out myself. But stuff like that really I got stuck on. And I still get stuck on that table with the customers because I can't. Like you get too close or you go too fast and then you're going too slow and then you trip on something. It's always different. So like I always have a hard time with that one.
It's the same spot for me. Is that I had a heck of a time. I was actually there a couple of days of playthrough on that stupid table. I don't know what it is about it, but it's right. You're kind of traversing up and down around different people, customers at this long bar, and they're eating food and drinking, and you're having to do like this curlicue to run through them to not be grabbed. Inevitably, you're always being grabbed.
Yeah. And there's like
That's-
just cups and like utensils that you run over, so then you trip or you slow down and then you like lose control of your character and it's just like move and then it doesn't and you get eaten and it's like, okay, let me just try this again. But yeah,
that's kind of a little bit of a gripe of mine with well, both games, but this one, since we're talking about this one for now, like that part, and there's a couple other, off the top of my head, I can't think of them, but there was like at least 1 or 2 other spots where I remember where there is a couple points in the game where you just have to nail perfectly. You have to do a perfect run. Like there's no leniency at all. And it's just like, man, if I like basically it feels like luck. Like if I didn't get lucky that one time and make it through, like you're not gonna get it. And I don't know, maybe it's just goes to show how bad of a gamer I am. But like there's a few of those points where I did over and over, and I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. And then one of the times it just worked. I'm like, okay, I must have just got it perfectly with the timing or something. I don't know what changed. And so that's a little teeny tiny gripe. There's just like a couple puzzles where it's like you have to nail the jump just right, or nail the weaving through the obstacles just right. And it's just like, man, like that's, I don't know, like you're progressing through the story at a pretty good clip, at a pretty good pace, and getting the story, and then all of a sudden like getting hung up on something like that just can get frustrating sometimes. But I mean, doesn't take away from the overall experience necessarily, but I could see where that could turn someone off. They get to like a puzzle and they're just like, oh, like what the heck, I can't nail this,
I'm
and
leaving.
then just be done. Yeah.
No, I was right there with you, and I think that was probably more of the ambitious effort from that team. Was they were trying to pull off moments in the game that I don't know if they were technologically ready for. I feel like their mechanics weren't rock solid enough for them to pull off some of the stunts and do it with a sense of knowing that every gamer that plays this is going to be able to pull this off in less than 3 goes. I don't think that there was enough. The mechanics were, the gameplay wasn't tight enough for them to warrant.
Or in JJ's case, 30 goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you were really giving it up for me, but thank you.
There wasn't enough assurance for them to implement such extravagant maneuvers or things like that at certain times. And I think that's just due to, I mean, I know that they've done projects before this, but I don't know if they've ever done like this scale or this level of a platformer to where I think it was just new territory and they were doing the best that they could with what they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my biggest gripe too, would be the controls or the controls and some, not all of the mechanics and how they were implemented. But like you were saying, it never took me out too much. only when I knew I was supposed to make something, or I had to, like I was saying earlier, when I had to balance on a beam or on a one single piece of wood or something like that. Thankfully, they fixed it in 2. But I remember dying the most to having to do that, especially in the scene, Ray, with the customers, where you had to go overhead and you had to go on that. It was like a pipe. I fell off of that maybe a good 6 times.
It's okay. It happens.
You know what? You guys admitting that you guys did not do well makes me feel so much better. Because honestly, I was kind of concerned about sharing with you guys how many times I failed at some of those things over and over again. Sometimes I get really frustrated with it. So I'm glad that you guys all suck too. So
yeah, man. You put it down, take a break, and come back. You know what I mean? Go get a Capri Sun, sit down for a minute, don't think about it, and then come back refreshed, ready to go.
Yeah, Capri Sun.
Ray, since you are our resident lore master, is there anything or is there a prevalent theory that you like to go with that is the story of the game to you that you would like to let us know? Maybe we missed something.
Okay, so there's a couple things. So in the very beginning of the game, you see a guy hanging from the ceiling, and there's like a chair down there, and you're wondering like, oh, it's just a random guy standing there. But then throughout the game, you're like, wait, how come this is the only skinny guy and the rest is like really big customers? I'm like, who is that guy? So like, I've been like holding on to that because I don't know enough information after playing the first game of why was he there? Why was he found like that and stuff like that? And then when you're going through the ladies' room, I don't know if you guys looked at the photos, but there's a couple photos there that kind of led me to believe that 6 is actually the lady's child. So that's one of my theories. Because she thinks that she has to be, it's like a Snow White kind of thing. It's like she has to be the most beautiful, but then when she gave birth to this child, it's like, why are you more beautiful than me? You must be banished. So then she tried to like get rid of this child. Because like if you look at the paintings, there's a couple, I cannot remember. There's a couple of photos of 6 up there, or at least like silhouettes of her that you can be like, that's 6. That's her. So then, can we talk about the DLC as well? Did you guys play the DLC?
I did. I don't think these two did though.
I didn't play it.
No.
Garrett's a
Go
fake
ahead.
gamer, Ray.
Go ahead and talk about it. I don't mind.
Okay. So in the DLC, did it say in the DLC? I'm pretty sure it did. In the DLC, it shows you what the lady looks like, and she's just ugly, and she's like rotting, and it's just like, bro, this is terrifying. So that's what led me to believe that she wanted to get rid of 6, her child, because she was very pretty and young, and she was rotting and being very ugly, and it's like, okay, this makes
That's
sense.
why she would break all her mirrors and stuff, right?
Exactly. So she didn't want to even look at herself, and she would like just get rid of every single mirror that she can find, and like just trash them all. She doesn't want to look at her face. She's like, this mask I'm wearing is enough. This is me. This is who I really am. And I'm trying to think of what else. I can't think of anything else from the first game.
Fun fact, Garrett and JJ, that gnome that you eat in the third area. Remember when they offer you a hot dog and 6 eats the gnome instead?
Bites his neck.
That's the character that you play as in the DLC.
That was a kid. Gnome?
Yeah. No, that was a child. The lady turns children into gnomes to work for her on the ship.
Oh, I got to get that DLC. See, I got to go do that tonight now.
The DLC is actually it's actually a little bit more terrifying than the first game. Wow. Like the monsters that they created was like like it was terrifying. Like I definitely had a couple nightmares after playing the DLC. Like I had to stop
wow.
some spots because I felt very uncomfortable. But there's puzzles there that are a little hard. But it just comes full
JJ,
circle,
sorry,
and I think
won't work for you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's when I tap out. I'm done. I can't. Yeah.
no,
The
no,
moment
they're
you said
easy.
that-
They're easy. They're fun,
Oh,
they're
okay. Well,
easy.
then not. Yeah. Now that probably sounds like a silly question, but what does that typically go for? Is that like a $10-15 or something like that? For
Not
that
even.
DLC?
Probably like
No, I don't-
5 to 7.
And like
And
it's 3. It's how many chapters was the
I
first
think
game?
it's like
5?
3.
The first game was 4, right? Wasn't it? For
I
6?
thought it was 5. Look at us
was it 5?
being.
We're
I thought
so
it was
good.
5.
So good at
Around
this.
there, but the DLC ends in the middle
Right.
of the first game because that's where the kid turns into a gnome and then gets eaten.
Interesting. Now,
Which is also weird because they don't explain. So does 6 just like lose all sense of humanity when she gets hungry? Like she'll eat anything that's there? Because remember, we ate rats. We ate
Oh.
just meat that was on the kitchen floor.
Okay.
And then we ate gnomes.
yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Is like, 'cause at the end of the game earlier, Ray, you said like, oh, and so lovely, and like she's like power walking up the stairs, and I'm like, does it? Because in my mind, like she's a horrible monster. She's become a nightmare. She's a little nightmare now. She's disgusting. She's not a good person anymore.
There's definitely I can't really. Okay, am I allowed to talk about my theory of how like the chronological order is of the 3 games?
Yeah.
So 2
Okay.
is a prequel to 1, right? Just because of we'll get there, right? But because
that's what
of
I've
the
always
end.
heard. Yeah,
That's the
what
way
I've
I
always
took
Yeah.
it. And I've never heard that before. But that's the way I took it from playing 1 and 2.
Yes. So the mobile game is the first. That's what happens first, and then the Little
Let me
Nightmares
download
2.
this mobile game.
I didn't know there was a mobile game. I'm like, what? Ray, you're bringing in all the good stuff today.
Yes, there's also
I'm writing this
comic.
down right now.
Yes. So the mobile game is the first thing that happened, the first event that happens. The second game, Little Nightmares 2, is the second event that happens after the mobile game, and then Little Nightmares 1 is the last. At least that's what I think, but I could be very wrong. But that's just what I've gathered from playing Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and then just watching a gameplay of the mobile game.
Is it the one Very Little Nightmares?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
the one.
Okay. Got it.
So-
Everyone's downloading it right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to explain what was happening to 6 because it kind of goes into the second game. I kind of have to like talk a little bit about the second game before I go to the first game, just because of the order. But
Okay.
so I know you guys only played it once, but did you notice the dark shadow that lurks whenever 6 starves and eats something?
Yes.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
notice that.
I noticed that it kind of like starts fading in and out,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
but I didn't see a shadow. Where was it?
Yeah.
It's lurking. So it lurks a lot. So in the cafeteria, when you start eating something, it's on the upper right by the boxes where you have to climb to move on to the next room. That's where the shadow first appears. And then I can't remember where the rat one appears, but I
Yeah.
think
I didn't
can't
see all
remember
of
where
them. It was only like once or twice that
No.
I actually see it, but yeah.
but the one
I
where
was too
he-
focused on her.
yeah, because she was going mental. But but when she started eating the gnome, that's when her full shadow fully appeared, and it's like, yo, what was that? And you're just like, that's like what, like someone explain this to me, kind of thing. But so she does start to go crazy and like more and more crazier, and it's just like, okay. So yeah, she is slowly losing her sanity until at the very end when she's just like, I'm gonna eat this lady. And then She just sucked the life out of her, like literally.
Yeah. That's my impression, is that she was having a mental problem throughout the thing, that she was having some type of mental issues. And so there were a lot of times throughout the game with some of that behavior that I felt like, oh, I think this is kind of an allegory for mental disease. I think that she's got something going on here. And I think that's the monster is inside of us. And so she was dealing with this, and then eventually something broke in her towards the end. Was this the way to survive? And then she becomes an actual monster. You know, like because there was also times where I thought, well, maybe she's possessed. You know, maybe there's some kind of possession going on.
See, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think though, with some of the things where she seemed like she was struggling with those feelings, and then kind of just giving into them. You know, just giving into those urges. And I took it as mental illness.
Okay. So I was thinking that whatever she was looking for, or something was drawing her towards the lady, because when she ended up defeating the lady and you know, ate her, then whatever power the lady had, she gained it. So I feel like something was calling her to the lady to take her power, because it was using her to bring the power through her to wherever she was going. Like something was controlling her and making her do all these things. That's what I was thinking. I don't know. It's a lot, but it sounds like we've reached all we can reach for part one. So does anybody have any parting thoughts before we travel 4 years into the future?
If you hug all the gnomes, it'll show you... Sorry, at the end, it'll show you all of the gnomes that you've hugged throughout the game. So you know when I talked about her ascending to the stairs, it'll show you all of the gnomes at the bottom that you've hugged throughout the game.
Oh.
Wow.
Is there something with that? Like, does it unlock a special something?
It unlocks photos, I believe, artworks.
Okay, I did some
Achievements.
funky things with some of those gnomes. So like none of them speak English, right? So they're not gonna like tell on me or.
No, but there's a good number of them, so they could unionize.
No, and I get that, and I understand, and that's their right. I just want to make sure that none of them can, share anything with litigation purposes. Because I don't, you know what I mean?
See, I feel like they would just they would take matters into their own hands and come and see you. They don't need the litigation.
Some things could be misconstrued, like a good, healthy butt pat is not necessarily sexual harassment.
But see, you wouldn't have to take it up with the court. You would take it up with them while they're throwing you into the furnace to fuel the maw.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So that also is shown in the DLC. You'll see the gnomes working together to get the maw moving properly to its next location and stuff. And that's another reason why I think the gnomes are so nice, is because they were former runaway children that the lady caught and turned into a gnome. And it's just like, now you can't actually leave. So you're just going to have to work for me because you're a gnome and you can't even speak. So you're going to have to work for me. But yeah, so that's why I kind of think that they were really nice in the DLC, and they were like helping you. And yeah.
You just made that sound like marriage too, right? So
Okay,
I don't know if you're aware of that or not. All right, so before I get into a lot of trouble, do you guys want to go ahead and move on to Little Nightmares 2?
Let's do it. So we're going 4 years into the future. Let's see, about 11th of February of this year, believe it or not. So everybody who played it back in 2017 had a long, it was this year. Had a long way to go to find out the next chapter of Six's story. And with this one, we actually are introduced to a new leading character by the name of Mono, who is a young lad who wears a bag on his head. And I don't know if it's ever explained why he chooses to do so, or if it's just, kids are weird and they do weird kid things and this is his thing. But yeah, it's definitely a large improvement over one. the graphic style and art style and everything has taken a huge upgrade especially with the new enhanced edition coming out that has like all the new effects and ray tracing. I don't know if you played that one, Ray, yet, or if you were able to get into it.
I played on PC and was able to play the enhanced edition, and holy cow, it's gorgeous. Yeah, with the ray tracing and like everything upgraded, particle effects, like all craziness. Like, oh, such a good looking game.
Yeah. So yeah, everything's gotten a pretty much overhaul. A lot of mechanics have been upgraded. This one is definitely more technically sound than the first one. They've had a lot of time to work on things and get those upgraded. So that was a major plus. JJ, I'm right there with you with the music. I think it's even better than the first one. I think pretty much across the board, they've made solid improvements to most aspects of the game versus the first one. Now,
I came in the perfect time because 2 had just come out a couple weeks before. I had been watching the previews or the trailers, excuse me, and then picked up 1, and it was like, man, I moved right into grabbing 2, and I happened to catch it on a deal. So one of the things about Mono's character that I thought was really cool, a cool feature in the thing, was the search for other hats.
Yeah.
So you didn't necessarily have to just wear that bag on your face. The search for those hats became like just one of those fun little, here's another helmet or a hat or whatever. And
coonskin cap.
Yeah, exactly. It was so cool. Like some of those little things. So
I also pre-ordered it, so I got the Mokujin mask. Just saying.
Really?
Just saying. Yeah, I pre-ordered it because I was a little excited.
All right, aficionado, we recognize you here.
Okay.
We see your street cred, your Little Nightmares street cred.
Just putting it out there.
Now, Ray, these two jokers, I'm gonna let you go in just a minute, but I want to hear from them because I remember we were talking in passing before we started a regular episode of our show, and you guys were talking about. I think we were in the middle of Little Nightmares 2, and you were saying it was really good, but you were saying that it didn't hit for you like 1 did. Is that still the case now that we finished it, or are we still on that thought process? Either one of you can go.
Now that I'm after it a little bit, and I've been playing a little more of 2, I'm realizing that 2 is superior. It's a superior game. 1 was just so unique to me. That's why it stood out so much, because it was new and unlike anything I'd ever played before, because I was just playing AAA games. And anytime that I ever had ventured outside of playing the big AAA game titles, I was disappointed. Like each time. There's not one time previous to Little Nightmares that I've come across a game that wasn't a AAA main game that I was like blown away by. And so
that's because you weren't hanging out with me,
right?
Yeah,
and you've
obviously
changed
you haven't been listening. You haven't been listening to Adrian's Super Indie Boys.
Yeah, and then Adrian, you became my one token friend. And what I mean by that is the one who actually is good at playing video games, because Garrett before that was not very good at video games. So yeah. Oh, you thought I meant the black guy thing? No.
No, I figured I figured out where you were going. I was riding with you. Garrett, anything changed? You still feel the same? 1 hitting better than 2 for you?
So, I still think I like the story of 1 better than 2.
Okay.
Not that I didn't enjoy 2, because like I was saying, it was a gorgeous game. Some of the puzzles, like just the way they did some of the puzzles was so much better. Like we've talked about mechanics wise, like it felt so much better to play it. There's a lot of pros in the game, and then even story wise, like you run through as Mono and get to the end, and like this revelation that like, oh wow. And we've already talked about how this is a prequel, like, oh wow, 6 was shitty before 1 as well,
right.
and the whole like cyclical thing with that's going on there with the Thin Man, crazy, like awesome, really cool stuff in the story. But man, there's just something about like 1 that still just, I don't know. I really enjoyed that story a lot more personally, but yeah.
I'm not mad at you. They're both great games, so I won't fault you at all. Ray, your thoughts on 2?
I think Well, I wasn't super. Well, okay. I knew what I was expecting because after falling in love with one, I'm like, okay, I know what to expect. Like, it's gonna be creepy, whatever. But when the second game came out, they really outdid themselves, especially with the boss fights and like the bosses themselves.
Yeah.
I thought that I wouldn't be surprised, but little did I know that they had a lot in store for the second game, and they just continue to surprise me, and just like I'm just like in so much awe with how much hard work that they put with like all of the um bosses and stuff. I still think Little Nightmares 1 does have a special place in my heart, but I just really like the second game just because of how refurbished it is compared to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I love the first game, but the second game really tied me to the whole like the whole story, and it's just like they just keep um wanting me for keep I just keep wanting more. They're just like
Stringing you
like,
along.
Where's
yeah, it's
number
like
3?
like don't do this to me, but like they do such a good job. It's just like, oh, you want to know some information, I'll give you a little hint, but I'm not going to tell you the rest. And it's just like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, no, the second game was very well done. The mannequins were I hate
Oh my god.
Oh, so
don't
difficult.
don't get me started
No,
on those
not just
mannequins.
difficult, terrifying. Dude,
Yeah.
listen, I thought I had my fill of dolls and mannequins when I played Resident Evil 8 this year.
Oh, don't talk about Resident Evil 8. That doll section
And then
is so
here
bad.
comes
Game.
this one where I have to be in the middle of all of them again with just a flashlight. Like before, I had guns, I had knives, I had something I could defend myself with. All I had here was a flashlight, my wits, and clean drawers. That's it.
Oh, the sound that the hands make. Oh, I hate it. I hate
So
it.
It's-
remember it with the table that we're talking about in one with the running back and forth, the mannequins was that for me here, where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was on that for a couple of days and really
So
struggled
hard.
and thought, I'm not going to be able to beat this level. I have no idea how to. I can't figure out the tricks to it, but there are tricks to it, you know. But it's difficult.
It's very
So what I'm gathering is that nobody is disappointed by 2, right? In this sense, but like nobody regrets having played 2, right? We all
Right.
like it at the very least. It's just that some people or most of us prefer 1 over 2. I see. I'm the one. I actually prefer 2 over 1, and that's not because 1 is bad in any sense. I love the first one too, but I think 2 just takes this series to such a higher level overall for me that I don't know, it was just much more that stuck with me a lot more than the setting in 1, just because of how much more varied it is. 1, I mean, I know, granted, this one takes place in a city, and you know, 1 took place just in the mall, so you really can't do too much different because it all has to look like one uniform place. But I loved the variety in environments here. I think that they really got to go crazy with different kinds of environments and things like that. And there were a lot more chances to set up different levels, like when you're in the school and the kids take 6 away and you can't do anything, you have to go and find her. But like little scenes like that where they set up your motivation to keep going, versus where in the first one you didn't really have any motivation but to get out of there.
Get out, go.
Right. And I loved that up until, you know, the turn. I really dug Mono and Six's relationship,
Yeah.
where it was based on a mutual, look, I don't want to die, you don't want to die, let's get out of here, or let's help each other and do whatever we have to do to get out of here. And I love that up until the turn, it seemed like they had each other's back 100%. And that was really cool. I don't know if you guys took advantage of it, but every time that I had the ability, I was grabbing Six's hand and like, let's get out of here.
Yes.
So that's
I wish
one
there
of
was
the-
a counter.
That's one of the coolest aspects of part 2 is the fact that you are working together like a team, you know, and you are doing that thing where you're grabbing Six's hand and running through to the next level, and you're utilizing her character with yours to be able to advance, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna need help. You're gonna need to give me a boost for me to jump up to this window over here. And I think that especially when you end up losing her to those kids, it becomes this thing where I know, like, I cared about Six at that point, and I knew what was coming. I could see and sense through the gameplay. I'm like, this is going to be, she's going to turn on me at some point.
I didn't think that.
See, I did.
didn't
I
think
was
that
thinking it was a
either.
prequel. I was thinking it was a prequel just by me playing it, and I'm like, I'm thinking that, yeah, this is gonna be when she has to turn on me in order to become the character from the first one. And so I saw it coming. It wasn't a big shock to me. And that's why, even though I like 2 better because of the updated stuff, I still think that for me, 1's completion and end game was superior. But the game overall, 2 is better. But I think that 1, like, you just cannot beat her sucking up the chick's soul and then sucking up all of the customer souls as she's walking up that staircase. It just, you can't beat that.
I don't know, man. Fighting your future self with TV, radio, psychic radiation is pretty sick too.
Who hasn't done that, dude? I've done that. Come on.
And then rearranging the entire city into a single door so that you can get out of there. That's pretty sick.
Some of the there's so many doors. Doorways are like a big deal for this part 2, and there's so many areas in this game where you have to go through one door, but it's kind of a maze, and you're popping out another door, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of in a labyrinth. Like, which door do I choose? And that becomes like, oh, you have to choose the right door in order to be able to get further. I know I struggled with that for a little bit. In the very beginning, and then I started to kind of get the pattern of it. But in the very beginning, it was one of those like, what
did
the
you ever
heck am I
figure
supposed
out?
to do?
Did you actually ever figure out what the trick is with that though?
Yes, I figured out.
Listening for the music, like like, oh, you went to the door with the music. Like, it took me forever to figure out. I started going through random doors. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, that's
Lost
like
Woods, baby. Lost Woods.
me.
Remember, you weren't a Nintendo 64 kid. You wouldn't have thought to do that.
No, not at all.
If anything, at that part, the only thing that like got me stuck was that stupid ledge to get to the other side.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, you have to push a ledge.
Push the
that
board
one took me
over.
forever. I thought it was just a random post, and everyone was just like, "You gotta push that."
Oh,
and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Push what? And then I was like, "Oh, I understand. I had to push."
So, in part 2, did any of you guys utilize cheats on YouTube?
Nope.
Like a walkthrough, you mean?
Yeah, like any like, man, I can't get around this. I'm gonna go see on YouTube if somebody else has ever done something on here to show me how to get further in the game.
The hardest thing for me, which was also the most rewarding thing, was timing the hammer swings just right so that I can bash those little clay kids' heads in.
Okay.
Boy,
I think
after you die the 5th time, but when you get that one good one, whack, and it just they nailed that.
If anything, the one I think I had to look up one part because I could not for the life of me. I actually don't remember if I did look it up or not, but it's the part with the garbage can. Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
Do you know what
When
I'm
you were in
talking
the
about?
rain?
You had to, yeah. So you
Okay.
had to push. So the garbage can was open,
Yes.
and it's like, how do I close this? And
Okay,
it's just
that-
like, I'm
yes.
just moving it back and forth, and I was just like, chat. I am stuck. I don't know what to do. I have tried every combination of jump, and I cannot go through this. So I can't remember if I did look it up or if someone pointed it out. I think someone might have pointed it out, but it could be a possibility that I did look it up just because I could not figure it out.
Mhm.
I was so frustrated. That was the only time that kind of took me out of the game because I was just like, dude, give me a sign.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we're like kind of on the same wavelength because that's actually the part that I YouTubed. So
That's funny.
yeah, I actually had to YouTube that one because I was stuck on it for too many days and I could not figure it out. And then when I did go and check somebody do it, then I was like, oh, I'm so stupid. It's always the little thing. It's always every time it's like there's that little detail that you're not catching and you can get hung up on it and get frustrated. And sometimes you'll quit a game, Garrett, and then never come back to it and finish it, Garrett. You know, so sometimes you gotta look at YouTube. So I that's the one time that I did in Little Nightmares 2 was for the trash can. Same thing.
For me, it was. I think it was later. I think it was past the hospital. I think it was it was when there's some TVs and you go into this room and the floor it's like a split level, so there's an upper level, it's like almost like a library. It wasn't in the school though, it was later because it was the TV remotes. And then the lower level is all flooded and it's electrified and there's like a little cart. And so I figured out okay, push the cart down and I can jump across and turn off the electricity. And I turn off the electricity and I'm like, I still can't get to the TV. Like I don't get it. Like what's going on? And I forever I just kept doing loops and turning the power on and then back off and on and back off. And I was like, maybe I can jump extra far and get it, and it would not work. And finally I looked it up. I'm like, oh, when the electricity's off, you just move the cart over and then turn it back. I felt so stupid. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I spent like a good 45 minutes on that. I'm like, this is too long for one puzzle.
The absolute hardest part in the game for me was in the school when you're in the room with the teacher. And it's the first time though. It's not when you're getting out. It's when you're going to that back room and she's writing on the board. And it's such a small window of time that you have to get from one side of the room to the other.
It's one of those puzzles that I talked about before, where you just have, it's a perfect run. It has to be a perfect run, basically. Yeah. There's no room for error.
She has a super long giraffe neck, and she will like stretch her neck and head towards you, and she is just the scariest. She looks like the old lady from The Conjuring that talks to the dude and like goes to the other side with him, you know, and the little short lady. That's what she looks like, but with a long super neck coming after you.
What's so scary about her is you can't hear her coming because she's not walking. So you just have to basically like in your mind time how long it'll take her neck to get over to where you are and base it off of that because there's no footsteps. They don't get louder. She's just standing there. Yeah. And then that part, and then the one part, I think it was either you, no, it was JJ, when you said that you could feel it in your toes. Mm-hmm. When you get the key from her and you're walking back around and she does that screech and all the kids hop up like this and they start chasing you down that hallway.
Yep.
Oh my God, I could feel it in my spine. I was doing like this.
Yeah, isn't it the best when the games like that could just make you feel fear and like I gotta get out of here and you're like in the thrill ride with them, you know, and you're just like, I know that some people play games and they're like super relaxed, but me when I'm really invested in a character in a game, then I'm all over it, man. Right, just and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just had like a little stroke. You know,
right?
Like,
Just a little mini heart attack. You know,
not like a hardcore.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes I just wear the diapers, you know, and I just let it go a little bit. You know,
I know it's a good moment when if I'm finished with it, I let out an audible like, oh.
Yeah, you have to take that deep breath.
You're holding your breath.
In,
yeah,
breathe out.
It's like, oh, thank the Lord. Another part that I think was really frustrating for me was with the TVs, with the one room with the lady watching the TV, and then you had to go to the kitchen and turn the stupid TV hanging from the balcony so that she can transfer to that one.
Yep.
That took me freaking forever. I don't think I looked it up, but I was on the verge of just like, dude, I'm like giving up. Like I
I'll
I
just
don't
watch the
wanna do
rest.
this.
Frustrating.
Yeah. It was a little painful, but after figuring that out, I was just like, oh, I was like, thank you. But yeah, that was another one that was really, really, really frustrating. It's like, dude, like I get that the first game was a lot of puzzles, but you didn't have to up
The
the
difficulty.
difficulty. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know
I
who
know
was
it's
out
not
there
my-
saying, "Yo, Little Nightmares far too easy."
Too easy. Too easy. Do it
Listen, when you
again.
make two,
Harder.
I need you to make it like 3 times harder, okay?
I know this ain't my first rodeo, but dang.
You're right.
Like they went hard on the second one. It's like, please give me time.
Just I want to praise the art direction a little bit more. I don't know if you guys ever caught this, but it's my background on my Xbox now. That one moment where Mono and Six are on this, it's like it's an ultra wide shot, and it's the city in the background, and you two are like walking over this. It's almost like a plank of wood or like a really thin sheet of metal or whatever it is. And as you're walking through, the shot keeps going wider out and wider out and wider out. It's like it's got a blue hue to it.
Yeah.
And that shot was so striking to me because I was not expecting to see anything like that in this game. And I was like, I can't, this is gorgeous. I gotta, immortalize this. And I think that speaks to the step up that I was talking about earlier in terms of the art direction and the graphical style. Even the bosses, I think in this one look a lot more twisted and scary than the bosses in the first game, for sure. I don't know. I think definitely the mannequins are probably the scariest ones. I don't know if anybody else had any differing opinions, but for me, having to manage all those mannequins coming from all sides at some points,
I
No deal.
cannot.
couldn't.
deal.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it either. I actually had to like stop and just kind of like take a deep breath because they were absolutely terrifying. Like I didn't think it's just they just really outdid themselves. It's just like I didn't need this. I didn't think anything would scare me anymore from Little Nightmares, but that one was a big it wasn't much of a well, I did see in the trailer, it shows in the trailer about the mannequins, but they just did such a good job that it's just like you'll still get scared. You know it's coming, but you're still terrified. It's just like there's no in between. You're either fine and relaxed or you're terrified. And I was terrified.
One art choice they made that was really great about the mannequins, because those are probably one of the scarier dynamics in the game, is that they're all headless. And I think that if they'd had like little fake heads, it wouldn't have been as freaky or as scary. It's off-putting when you're looking at these headless, limbed creatures coming after you like this, and with the clickety clackety click, of their legs and limbs and stuff like that. It's very robotic, and it's just, it adds to that freak out. I think it was a bold choice to go headless, and I think that it worked out really, really well.
I mean, it makes sense too. A lot of mannequins are headless, so I can see that work. But I feel like we got our fill of scary, creepy headed things with the kids because they all had the ceramic heads.
Oh, the clay. I think the clay or something.
Or was
right?
it clay?
Yeah,
I thought it was like
Yeah.
a ceramic
Clay.
type. Yeah.
Oh no, I think they are ceramic.
Yeah, because they shatter like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're called the bullies.
The bulls.
Porcelain,
Yes, the bullies, the bullies.
porcelain. I'm on the wiki. I'm on the official wiki. They're
Oh,
porcelain
okay.
dolls.
Pardon me, Monsieur.
All right. My bad.
Always
My
with the
bad.
Googles.
Now,
Excuse
I'm
me.
gonna circle back, Ray, because you said earlier that you had to wait till we got to 2 to expound on some knowledge that you have from the first one. So I'm gonna let you have it. Go for it.
I'll try my bestest to explain it. So, the Hanging Man. I'm not sure how he got to that point, but at the end of Little Nightmares 2, we all found out that Mono was the Hanging Man. That one was like a bit of a shocker because like, oh, I thought that he was just a random bystander there, but there's actually more to him. And then when I mentioned, so the little shadow that comes out when Six was eating, so in the second game, you saw that Six's shadow was actually pulled away from her, and there was a shot where there was a little banner at the floor on the floor, and Six actually glanced at it, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah, and it was a
Cool
picture of the
advertisement.
maw.
yeah, and it was a picture of the maw. So then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, did this shadow go ahead and got like Six started? Was that the reason why she had the idea, like this idea of going, quote unquote, to the maw, or like is it just a coincidence? So that shadow just depicts like Six slowly what is it called, like losing her sanity because
Mm-hmm.
it's because her other shadow is like eating her alive so that he can become like greater than her. And then at the beginning we saw that Six was found playing with a little music box. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there was pictures in that room where Six was trapped. So I'm like, there's so many
No,
theories
go for
flying
it.
in my
Take
head.
your
Okay,
time.
okay. I'll try to do this as quick and very informative as much as I can. But after, can I talk about the mobile game?
Yes.
Okay. So in the mobile game, it doesn't start with Six. It starts with, they explained it as the girl with the yellow raincoat. So it was a girl that had the raincoat first.
Mm-hmm.
Six was just one of the runaway kids, just like that girl in the yellow raincoat. So throughout the mobile game, it's the same thing, kind of like the same as the first game. It's a lot of puzzles, a lot of trying to escape a lot of monsters. And at the end, we find out that they were in the nest. It was high up in the sky, and there was just no way for them to get out. So Six was actually just another helper in that second game. You needed Six in the mobile game to get out of the nest. But unfortunately, as you were running away from one of the bosses, the little girl in the raincoat actually falls down and plummets into the water and dies with the monster. It doesn't show, but in the comics, it shows that Six actually gets dried, or not dried. Sorry, Six gets carried by the water onto a shore, and that's where the hunter finds. Well, I don't know if Six is a guy or a girl, but let's just say them. I guess I actually don't know if I think it's a girl. I think Six is a girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read
Yeah,
somewhere.
okay, yeah.
I read somewhere initially it was they were keeping it like ambiguous, like the developers didn't pick a boy or girl, but then everyone just kept calling it she. So now canonically it is a she. Yes.
Yeah. So then that's how she got. That's how she got taken away. The hunter saw her and just in what's the word? Just like trapped her in that little room in his house in the woods. So as you're playing mono, you're in the woods and you're like trying to get through the hunter's house, and then you find Six, who was playing the little music box in her little room, just trapped and all alone. And I don't know if you guys saw the little writings on the wall, but there's a little drawing of the tower on the left side, and you guys remember the little window. So it has like it has a very small window. It has a small window in that room, and I think that's how the tower, like, so she drew a little tower on the side of the her room, and I think that's how the tower got to her. And the music box was kind of like her little, like, what is it called, like a transmitter. Like that's how the tower got to her was because of the little music box. That's why she keeps the music box with her and like just takes really good care of it, and it's just like playing it nonstop. And then on the opposite side of the wall, it shows a bunch of drawings of little kids, and there's like little marks on there, like little slashes, counting. Like it looks like 6 was counting how many days she's been there. But then at the bottom, it shows you like little kids drawing. There's one where there's a picture of a kid falling with like its face like scratched out. I think that's a sign that was the girl from the mobile game that died with her. So then it kind of shows you that's the reason why I got this timeline, is because of how those pictures on the wall were drawn out. It starts out with the girl, and then it starts out with Mono, and then it ends up with 6. So that's kind of how I have my chronological theory order for the games. It's just because of those little drawings. It's so small, but like it's wild.
So
and then
just quick question. So how does the story deal with the cycle of Mono, basically?
Okay, so all right. So we know that Mono is in a different dimension. We know that there's a bigger issue than whatever the heck 6 is going through. I'm still not sure, but
Right.
I just think that,
Because wouldn't Little Nightmares 2 just happen over and over and over again then?
yeah, so my thoughts are, so the reason why the future Mono was trying to get 6 was I think that was him trying. I think that was Mono trying to end the cycle, but he failed. So then that kind of shows that like the cycle is just going on and on and on. That's kind of how I saw it. So like this is kind of like I feel like there's different
Oh, I'm sure.
multiverses. Yeah. So then this is just not even like a scratch. Like we're not even scratching the surface. This is just one of the one of Mono's attempts to break the cycle, but ended up not succeeding, is what I'm getting from Mono's future guy. I'm trying to think. But yeah, I just think that he was just trying to break the cycle, and he knew that it was 6, but he just needed that one breakthrough, and we just don't know that yet. We just don't know. That's why the first game is just like, I'm just so clueless, because it shows him deceased, and it's just like, but that's not how the second. So then he did succeed in the first game, but like I don't know what he did different, because then did he like, yeah, I don't know. There's too many.
Now, do we know? Sorry, Garrett. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So I didn't play the DLC, but I saw some clips that apparently on a TV you see the Thin Man, aka Mono, like kind of show up on a screen. Is that an indication of possibly a third game of like him returning to like? Do you think there's gonna be a revenge story in 3, like him finally getting back at 6 or something like that, or I don't know, some return to that story?
Maybe. What if he?
I don't know, because especially because I'm sure initially people thought that was, that's just alluding to the next game, 2, which is actually a prequel. But if I from whatever some of the research I've done, I would say the chronological order that you were kind of putting out there, that's seems pretty solid to me. Yeah, it seems like if that's the case, and at the end of 1, like in the DLC, you see the Thin Man, well, that means like why? Yeah, maybe it was alluding to the second game, which is actually a prequel, but also I feel like it also kind of is alluding to, okay, what comes next? So after 1, chronologically would be hopefully a third game. I'm kind of curious now, like what that could look like. You know, what are they going to do with that?
Yeah, because there's just so like it's just there's just so many possibilities, and there it is just endless. You just don't know what's coming next, and then they just come up with so many like good stories, just like very good, really good build up to whatever games they have released, and it's just so good.
So for anybody who's listening to the podcast right now or watching it on YouTube who hasn't played this game, or either of these games, which is probably there's not a whole lot.
Messed up. You done messed up.
We have people who listen to our show constantly who don't get to play some of these games. These are the games you need to go try. Trust us right now. These games are phenomenal. They're very inexpensive. You can pick them up for very cheap online right now, and they're worth the playthrough. And you can play through several times. Like Ray the Rat is doing. Obviously, Garrett and I will never get to play them again because we have kids and we'll never have time. And Garrett never finishes games more than once. So.
And unfortunately for all of us, I guess we're gonna have to wait another 3-4 years until we get Little Nightmares 3.
That's
we're just
fine.
gonna have
That's
to
fine.
sit.
They can take
We're gonna
their
have to
time.
sit here and theorize until it happens.
Well, I'm going to go pick up the DLC now that Ray the Rat has had all that information. And, man, you really brought it with all that info. You had backstory.
Of course,
you had
man.
a lot
Why
of
do you think I
theories.
asked you to be here?
No doubt. This was a good get.
Any closing thoughts, everybody, on 1, 2, or the series as a whole before we wrap up?
These games are phenomenal. I'm so happy that I gave them a chance because they're unlike anything I've ever played before, and it's opened up a new world for me of video games. Since then, I've wanted to try to get a hold of all kinds of games that are of the like-minded type of platformers, and so I've picked up Unraveled, I've picked up Limbo, and I have not been disappointed, but they just don't hold up to Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
Interesting. The drug don't hit like the first time. Garrett, you got any last words?
Play this game. Don't recommend it to kids. Not a kids game. But yeah, very fun. Love the aesthetics. And something I actually went real quick, I didn't get to mention before, but I love how different the aesthetic are in each of the games. The maw is like wet and sloppy and gross and gory. And then then 2 in like the Pale City just being
it's
like
not like marriage. JJ.
I thought you were gonna say marriage. I thought, dude, that's where I was going. You knew it, Adrian. Your wavelength, brother. You know it.
I love the blue like it's a little warmer hues in the maw. Pale City, very cold like colors and dusty and dingy and like a little foggy, and I don't know. I love that. I love how much, and I'm really excited to see whatever the next game is, what that aesthetic will be. How they totally just make it look completely different just with their the world they build there. So yeah, it's a cool game.
Ray?
I am very excited with what they're coming up with next, because the way that they created the second game, it just shows that they can climb higher. They can go way higher than they've ever climbed before, and I'm really, really excited. I think they have lots that they want to show us, and like I feel like they're probably just gonna keep us hanging as much as they possibly can. I don't think there's ever gonna be an end, because there's just so many just possibilities for this game, and that's what gets me so excited about it, because you learn something new every time for this game, and just when you think that you have this theory down, they're just like, are you sure about that?
Do you want to
take a second? Do you want to play it again? Just kind of. And that's what I love about it, because it makes you play it again, not forcing you to play it again, but you just find something new every time. And I think the second game, I think I've played it twice, and there's just so many new things that you find, just like the first game. And I think that's what I love about it. It's just never a dull moment. You're just always immersed, except for that stupid trash can. But other than that, after you go through that trash can, you're fine. But yeah, no, I very much love it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I am stoked to see what the third one is going to be, especially now that they have just finished this one, they get to start development of the next one with all this extra power. I mean, I know they've already had PCs, but now like across the board, they get to expand their vision and things that they can do with all this extra horsepower and just room to create. Like, I want to see how much bigger the next one is gonna get. It's so exciting. Yeah, I loved them. I loved both 1 and 2. I can't recommend them enough. Indie games, man, there's something else.
they just hit different.
They
So
hit
good.
different.
They build different.
Yeah, and that is going to do it. Ray, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us and talking a little shop about Little Nightmares. We are so honored to have you here as a guest. Where can the good people find you on this here internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. You can just look up Ray Da Rat. So Ray REIDA and then Rat. I do also have a YouTube, but I don't really have a lot out right now. But you can go ahead and give that a look if you're interested. I do have one. I have one video up, and that's actually from Little Nightmares too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's send some people that way. I'm not gonna ask you two schmucks because they'll see us next week. They know where to find us already.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll do it. Thank you, everybody, again, all our Patreon supporters and all the people who at one point are going to be listening to this on the free feed. Thank you for taking the time out to listen. I hope you had a good time. And we will continue to do this as long as people are interested. Just kidding. We're going to do it as long as I want to because it's cool.
Forever.
All right. So for our wonderful host this week, the adorable Adrian Homeboy Holmes for the big boss. Gushy Garrett Morlang for the phenomenal, incredible Ray Da Rat. And for myself, JJ Purdom, we are the Super Gamer Boys.
Play a game.
There we go. That's it. That's the one.